AITA for telling my parents it is their fault. I felt relieved about brother's death. This Sunday was my brother's funeral. Nearly everyone from the family attended. Just some of the eldest couldn't because of COVID. I haven't seen my family since years and saw them again at the funeral. So everyone said his goodbye and took a look at my brother who laid down in the casket. Some cried and some hold their tears back. As I have looked at him, I just felt totally relieved, not sad, maybe a little sorry for him. However, the same night I just planned to stay at my parents' house the first time after years again. Some old childhood friend came over to wish their condolences and also my best friend. We got to my old room, and he brought alcohol, and we drank. I am someone who just keeps talking and let out his feelings while drunk, and so I talked. What we didn't know is that my cousin has recorded us without our notice and showed everything to my parents. To put you guys in the picture, my brother is a mentally ill person who had the intelligence of a 3 to 4 year old. He wasn't even able to be vocal about many things. As I was younger, my parents tried to raise me with the only purpose of being his caregiver, and I hated it. They forced to clean my brother as I was 10 to 11 years old, because I had to learn it anyway. It grossed me out to clean him, change his cloth and change his diapers. I hated him. And my parents. As a 14-year-old, I started to act out and the police had to bring me back home a couple of times. Even CPS was involved, but nothing happened first. The last time before actions happened, I escaped home for about 2 weeks, before police had found me with the rest of the money I stole from Dad's pocket. Then a therapist talked with me from CPS, and it was clear I couldn't go back home. However, this Monday morning my parents, my aunt, and cousin waited for me downstairs to confront me. There were a lot of yelling. This little goblin recorded me speaking about for 40 minutes. Finally, I burst out and admit that I feel relieved that my brother died and that it was their fault that I hated him. It just bothers me all the time at the moment. And I honestly don't know if I am wrong here. While I feel good about it being out of my system, I think it was unfair to kick my grieving parents as they were already suffering. ETA. First of all, I am thankful for all the responses, positive or negative. Some people ask detailed in private and I decide to answer some. My family is a very oppressive kind of family, and everyone has to obey a certain set of rules. In our culture, children are seen more as possession rather than actual people for themselves. The final straw for CPS and the therapist was as I admitted to fantasize about harming my brother. The only reason why I attended the funeral was because I thought it would be a closure. Since CPS took me from family, I lived in a sort of assistant group house with other children who had their problems with their families. I don't plan to take legal action against the goblin above. It's not worth the headache. I created this account to be anonym, and don't care if anyone used my post above for his content on any platform. I am still in contact with professional therapists, and I think I have my life in order. Story 2. AITA for telling my mom I'm not gonna be her second choice just because my brother died. Me and my mom don't have the best relationship. My parents broke up when I was 2. My mom was trying to do college, so I was mostly with my dad and she'd have me every weekend. When I was 6, she got married and then a year later had my half-brother Tommy. After that, she was canceling our meetups or days I go over there because she was busy, missing out on school stuff and then birthdays. I barely saw her after that, and her reason always was being busy with my half-bro. I never even met him, like at all. I could also tell when I was around her husband didn't like me. He was always serious around me and never actually spoke to me. Years went on and it just went to total no talking at all. My dad got married to my stepmom when I was 10 and she's really great. So 9 months ago I heard from my grandparents on Facebook that Tommy passed. The full details, all I know it was some accident, and he had serious injuries. Thought about reaching out to my mom, but it felt weird since we haven't talked in years. She ended up the one messaging me, first telling me about what happened to Tommy, and then apologizing for not keeping contact with me for years. Pretty much she wants to meet and for us to have a relationship again. It just felt off to me that she's doing it only now after Tommy passed. I know some of you are gonna say losing him maybe made her realize she was a shit mom to me, but still, if this hadn't happened then it's like she never would have reached out and wouldn't be trying. I told her this too, and I'm not interested in us having anything ATM. This made her push even more that we need to do this, and it just seemed like she was not gonna let this go. So I said I'm sorry for what happened to him, but I'm not gonna be her second choice, and she can't expect me to want her back in just because she lost one child and decided she'll go back to the other. Maybe in the future if I feel differently, but not right now. My mom hasn't left me alone, and when last time I talked to my grandparents they gave me shit about what I told her, and I shouldn't have said that to her after she's lost her son. So I'm not sure if what I said was too harsh, saying I'm not interested in her right now just because my brother's not around anymore and it's like I'm just her only option now. It's just how I feel since she dropped out of my life once she had another family. Was I an asshole? Story 3. AITA for not wanting to discuss my deceased sister. Before I was born, my parents had another kid, Hannah. When Hannah was 8, she died due to an accident. I was born 2 years later. Growing up, she was constantly mentioned. We went to her grave multiple times a year. Pictures were hung in our house. Stories were told. I wouldn't say it overshone me in any way. I still got to be my own person. My parents never wanted me to be Hannah and they celebrated my accomplishments. But still, she was always talked about and I was always told I had a sister, asked how I felt about her. And it took me years to admit to myself that I feel nothing for her. I never met her and due to her death, she's always been made into this saint-like figure. It's like she's this person I've watched documentaries about. I have respect for her, but I don't consider her my sister. If others ask if I have siblings, I say no. Now that I'm living on my own, I don't visit Hannah. I don't display the pictures of her that my parents gave to me over the years. I've told a few close friends and my exes I felt they had a right to know, but outside that, there's nothing to discuss. Recently, my mom was talking about Hannah a lot. I've told her before I don't want to talk about Hannah anymore, but she doesn't listen. The other day, she kept going on about a story I've heard a million times and I said I thought I told you I was done talking about her. My mom replied she's your sister and I said technically, maybe. My mom got really offended and I pointed out we weren't raised together. I don't know her. I feel nothing for her. My mom started crying and called me heartless. She said that I don't have to discuss Hannah, but she's not going to stop just because I want to pretend she never existed. My dad has said what I said about Hannah is near unforgivable, and I need to reevaluate my priorities. AITA. Story 4. AITA for telling my mom that my father didn't do anything for her birthday. My mother and I can have a rocky relationship at times, but I love her more than anyone on this planet. And it was her birthday a few days back. I'm a school student and I don't get pocket money. I don't have a job and my parents buy me whatever I need, so I've never asked to be given any allowance. For my mom's birthday, I asked my father repeatedly to buy a cute gift. I gave him multiple options regarding what she would like, but the day before her birthday, he said he hasn't had any time, which is a big fat lie because I know he had a lot. The cake for her birthday, I spent 2 weeks asking him to book one so we would be prepared. Instead, he went and bought it 2 hours before her birthday. It was a very small celebration, just the 3 of us, but my mom was happy. My dad told her he will buy her a gift soon and that he has had a busy week. Again, it's a lie. It's been 2 weeks since then, and my dad's sister is visiting. She didn't even bother wishing my mom on her birthday, and my dad asked my mom to select a gift for his sister as she is leaving. My mom asked him if he had forgotten about her, if he didn't value her, and why should she buy gifts for a woman who talks trash behind her back when her own husband didn't buy her a birthday gift. A few hours later, my mom was crying, and I told her that he didn't buy anything despite me pestering him for weeks, and the cake came because I demanded it. My dad even yelled at me for bothering him about it. She was more sad, but told me that as I don't even earn money yet and I am young, I shouldn't be worried about it. My dad found out I told her and called me a liar, and later told me I made things worse and I've been a bad daughter. I feel guilty because I feel like I made things worse.